Hey guys, it's me, Menya like Kenya, and today I'm going to show you the 3 healthiest ready-made meals that I could find in Japan's most popular convenience stores, which are 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson.
Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line, what you fall through with the light sticks. Maybe help me spark the ideas. We got nowhere else to go, it's only up from there. I've been on my own, just running through the field. Say vivid for the ears, I know that's how they like. Yeah, I fantasize. Tell me that it's real when it's all said and done. I said it high.
And when I say healthy in this video, what I mean is food that's high in protein, low in carbs, low in fat, and has some fiber. Rice, noodles, bread, pasta, and other carbohydrate-rich foods can be part of a healthy diet, but for the purposes of this video, I'm talking about foods that I'd recommend to anyone who's trying to lose fat, build muscle, and really just effectively balance energy levels throughout the day. It's also worth pointing out that almost all of the food found in convenience stores, which in Japan are called Conbinis, is either processed or ultra-processed. So if you're really focused on eating the healthiest food possible, then you simply shouldn't buy food from convenience stores. Focus on fresh, whole, unprocessed food as much as possible. But if, like most of us, sometimes you find yourself with very little time, very few options, or very little will to cook, sometimes convenience store food just makes sense, and that's totally okay. There are a surprising amount of delicious and nutritious options, and we're gonna explore 3 of them today. But before we do that, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications button below so that you don't miss out on future videos. All right, here we go. So we've got chicken and pork bone broth. This is from 7-Eleven. And then we've got chicken and veggie soup. This is from Family Mart. You can see that title. We've got a combo because I couldn't find an independent ready-made meal that really cut the bill from Lawson. So we've got a combination of fried pork with ginger and essentially kind of mixed veggies with, I guess, some hummus / dressing. And it looks like this. Okay, so if it's lunchtime, you're looking for a quick meal, these 3 options are really solid options for lunch. And I'm gonna run through each one individually and kind of talk to you about the macros. So we'll start with the one from 7-Eleven. So we've got chicken and pork bone broth. I'm gonna run through the macros here. They're written on the bottom. We've got 239 total calories, 33.1 come from protein, which is a lot, 8.5 comes from fat, and 10.5 comes from carbohydrates, of which 6 grams are from fiber, which is really good. So that's 6 grams of fiber, 33 grams of protein, and only 8.5 grams of fat. That's a really, really good meal. That's surprisingly good. And then we've got Family Mart. We got 10.4 grams of protein, 1.9 grams of fat, 5.1 grams of carbohydrates, and from that, 1.3 comes from carbs. So kind of big macros, 10.4, 1.9, 5.1, and then if you compare kind of protein and fiber, you've got 10.4 and 1.3. So the fried pork with ginger, total calories, we've got 160 total calories, 18.9 from protein, 7.2 from fat, 5.5 come from carbs, and of that 1.4 is protein. So again, protein and fiber, we've got 18.9 and 1.4. Obviously, this is essentially just a protein option, and then combining that with a vegetable option really to get in a little more carbohydrates and fiber. So total calories 160, total calories here from the vegetable mix 159, and of that we've got 1.7 that comes from protein, 14.7 which comes from fat. Bear in mind that's essentially coming from this dressing. So that's one of the things that I wish nutrition labels actually talked about, is where they come from. Because if you look at this and you'd imagine this has 14.7 grams of fat, that's a lot of fat. Bear in mind, virtually none of that fat is coming from the vegetables. All of that, virtually all of that, is coming from this dressing that they've added. And that's a tiny bit of dressing. So people often make the mistake of going in somewhere and getting a salad and then eating all the dressing and the vegetables, thinking they're having something really healthy. And again, fat is not unhealthy. When we're talking about eating healthy fats, it's not the fat from dressing you want to be eating. It's fat from things like avocado, olive oil, the healthy fats that you want to be focused on. Nuts, legumes, I mean, there's tons of healthy fats out there, but not this kind of processed convenience store fat. That's not what you're looking for. So realistically, I'm not gonna eat the dressing. So if you removed that, I'd really just be getting carbohydrates, largely in the form of probably fiber from the vegetables. So if you look at the carbs, it's gonna be 5.8, 1.5 of which comes from the fiber from the vegetables. So we've got this mix from Lawson, this one from Family Mart, and this one from 7-Eleven. We're gonna do a taste test, so let's get these warmed up. Here we go. First one, 7-Eleven chicken and pork bone broth. Here we go. So we've got our chicken and pork bone broth. Just threw it in for 5 minutes. I'm gonna open it up. It smells really good. So first impression, definitely smells awesome. Ooh. Yeah, it smells really good. It's a kind of closer look. Can't really do it without spilling it, but yeah, pretty excited. Really good. The chicken's really lean, no fat on it. And then on the inside, basically I've got, let's see if I can get close to this. I'm trying not to spill the sauce. Basically got a bunch of vegetables on these big chunks of chicken, and then more veggies. So it's basically just veggies and chicken, and that's perfect. And the chicken is perfect. It's delicious. No extra fat on it. Yeah, this is awesome. It smells amazing. That is amazing. This is the meal. This is the meal. It's really hot though. So again, it's got really lean chicken. There's no extra fat on it, which is really surprising. And then the rest is just vegetables, but it kind of tastes like you're eating noodles, even though these are not noodles. So this is a vegetable that looks like a noodle, but it's obviously not. I can just tell this is filling. Like this is, this is only what, 300 calories? 240. Only 240 calories, and it's honestly just a bunch of protein and fiber. It's perfect. It was the only chunk of fat that I could find. Correction, I found another. I am really, really impressed with this meal. I was not expecting it to taste this good, but it actually tastes awesome. So, as is the case with most convenience store food, it's basically pumped full of additives and preservatives because they have to. The most common preservative / additive being salt, which is sodium, which is something that gets put in a lot of convenience food because they just have to keep it on the shelves as long as possible. In Japan, they're pretty good about keeping food fresh. So on the food, you can see when it was put out and when it expires. And most food is put out on a daily basis. So the food is pretty fresh, but it's also got, preservatives and other stuff in it, namely lots of sodium. So if you're trying to keep your sodium levels down, again, convenience store food is probably not a great option. If you have to do it, meaning you just have to eat at a convenience store, you're gonna be pretty hard pressed to not find food with sodium in it. A good option might be something like a tin of tuna in water, in which case it won't have as much. But in general, you're gonna find lots of sodium in food and convenience stores. That's awesome. Really, really good. Overall, I rate that really, really highly. Really enjoyed this meal. Strongly recommend it. Total price tag, with tax, it's 500 yen. It's 505 yen for this meal, which is amazing. Let's move on to the next. All right, so up next we've got the chicken veggie soup from Family Mart. 398 yen, so basically 400-ish yen. Let's open it up. All right. Ooh, okay. So this one has a more bland smell, whereas the kind of chicken and pork bone broth really had that rich smell. This smells more like a soup that's been made to be like light. So I wish I could give you guys a better look, but that's kind of the best I can do for now. Oh, spilled some. We've got greens, chicken, more greens, carrots, lettuce, some onions. Looks good. Looks really simple, really clean. This is an easier meal, I think, to get through, and it's probably a better option for a wider array of palates. That one has a pretty distinct taste and smell and flavor, and I love it. The one I had before, which is the chicken and pork kind of bone broth soup from 7-Eleven. This from Family Mart, it's really, really good, but it's kind of it's less rich taste, which I think might be almost a better option for maybe most people who just want something quick and simple. This is exactly how this tastes. It's more like soup, almost like chicken noodle soup with no noodles. It's really good. If you're not a big eater, this is the perfect size, like perfect. 76 calories. I can tell that I could eat this, and if I really didn't have time to eat food, I could eat this in 5 minutes and be done with it, and just have a good kind of macronutrient tiny meal, almost like a snack, but it feels kind of substantial in a way. So for perspective, for those of you who like protein bars and other kind of quick snacky foods, your average protein bar probably has between like 80 and 120 calories, and it's in this kind of like, you know, bar form. Most of them are quite dry and obviously highly processed. This is actually a really good option. So if you're looking for that 80 calorie, 100-ish calorie meal, and you don't want it in the form of a protein bar, I mean, this is 10 grams of protein. Most protein bars are probably 15 or 20. So like, this is a pretty solid, relatively natural, like this is obviously real food option that may be even a better option for those of you who are looking for something outside of like protein bars or protein shakes. So this is pretty impressive. I would definitely recommend this. Really good. All right, let's move on to the next. And last but not least, we've got the fried pork with ginger and the vegetable stick combo. So if you were gonna eat this, you'd probably wanna use a plate because it might be hard to eat out of the bag. I'm gonna try it out of the bag first and see what happens. Oh, actually not so bad out of the bag. Might be able to make this work. Smells really good, really strong smell of ginger. Ooh, so this is what it looks like, which actually looks pretty good. It smells really good. That is winning. Oh, fantastic. I like ginger. If you don't like ginger, this is obviously not a great option. But really delicious. Simple, high in protein. Check out the sticks. I'm gonna go with no sauce or no dressing first. So, Lawson with dressing, which is again where basically all the fat and a lot of the sodium, all the sodium is gonna come from, is gonna be from this dressing. Yeah, tastes better, but so if you're gonna go with some kind of dressing or some kind of topping, don't go with dressing. Go with vinaigrette, olive oil, lemon juice, or something like that. It's gonna be very low calories and very low sodium, instead of the kind of processed and artificial dressings that usually come with these kinds of salads. So I'm just gonna do these two together. So far so good, it tastes awesome. So hands down, this is my favorite flavor, but again, I really like ginger. This probably tastes the best. I think the chicken and pork bone broth is number 2. And I'd probably go with the Family Mart kind of chicken noodle-y soup option as my 3rd in terms of flavor. Another thing you could do here is use the sauce, of which there's quite a bit left in here. You can kind of see it right there. You could use that sauce as dressing for this. That would even be a much better option than using the dressing that comes with the carrots and such. I'm pretty used to eating raw veggies, so I don't really need it, but that's an option if you want to add a little more flavor to the vegetables, which are essentially going to be pretty bland without any kind of sauce. Third and final, finished. So, final review. I had 3 meals, 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and a meal from Lawson. By far, in terms of macronutrient split, total calories, and even price, I would encourage you guys to go with the 7-Eleven option. It's the chicken and pork bone broth. Really delicious, really filling, excellent meal. Actually really surprising how good it is. That would be my first place winner in terms of overall value. Second place winner would have to go to Family Mart, which is the chicken and veggie soup. Really good. It's essentially just like chicken noodle soup without the noodles. Really solid option, really low calorie, and honestly far better than a protein bar if that were the option you'd be going with. If you like protein bars, go ahead and do that. But if you want something a little more natural, real food, whole food, that's a good option. And then third option, I'd go with Lawson. I was a little bit disappointed that Lawson didn't have a really good standalone, what I would consider very healthy meal. So in terms of looking for a ready-made healthy standalone meal, a Lawson was probably my least recommended simply because it didn't have that option. It may have been the Lawson that I went to. It wasn't a particularly big one, but I looked everywhere and I couldn't find that kind of substantial healthy meal. Almost every meal that comes in convenience stores, aside from these, basically have a bunch of noodles or a bunch of rice, which take that really low carb count from maybe 8 or 10 to sometimes 100 plus. Again, carbohydrates are fine. Carbohydrates are very good for you. They're extremely nutritious. They're just very calorie dense, especially when it comes to rice, bread, or pasta. So if you're aiming to eat a lower calorie meal because you're trying to an extent, restrict your total calories that you're taking in each day, then you're gonna wanna go for these kinds of options. And remember, your focus is protein and fiber. So, first place overall rating, 7-Eleven with the chicken and pork bone broth soup. Second place, Family Mart with the chicken and veggie soup. And then third place would be Lawson with the combination of the pork ginger and vegetable stick option. In terms of flavor, I actually would almost reverse that. So I'd actually go with Lawson. I was really impressed with the flavor of the pork ginger meat in particular. It's delicious. And then I'd go second place, we go to 7-Eleven with the chicken and pork bone broth. That was really, really good, but the ginger from the ginger pork was incredible. And then third place, I go with the chicken noodle soup. It was kind of just the most bland of all of them. So those are your options. And remember that if you're stuck at a convenience store and you've got to eat something, you do have good options. Just make sure you look at the nutrition facts. And if you guys don't already know how to read Japanese nutrition facts, that's a topic that I'm going to cover in a later video, because that's a really, really important thing to learn to do. Read nutrition facts. It changes everything. Once you understand what's inside your food and what kind of composition your food has in terms of the nutrients, that's when you can really start to make healthy choices, even on the go. So guys, thanks for watching. Remember, please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on future videos. And thanks for watching, guys.